First I wanted to just introduce myself and thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule to be here and for your interest in Junior Auxiliary. My name is Leslie Vaughn, and I am a life member of the Junior Auxiliary of Gulfport, which essentially means that that's the chapter that I started my active service in. And I started in 2001, and I live in Gulfport now. Have a really strong heart for Hancock County. My kids went to school at OLA in Stanislaus, and so I spent a lot of time over here in early 2000s through 2010. So I am a past national president of the National Association, and so I've served in a lot of different roles, from helping chapters as they're growing and doing their projects, to serving at the national level and leading the organization. And then after I finished all that, they asked me if I would help them start up new chapters as interest arose. And so it's a volunteer, non-paid position. I like to say that because they make you sign something that makes sure you know you're not getting paid. But I do it because I love it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as time goes on. This is Jean Hildebrandt. She's my good buddy and my friend from Slidell. She's a life member of the Slidell chapter, and she is also a past national president. And so she and I have been for a long time hoping we could get a chapter going in Hancock County. And so when Jen contacted me and said, can we do something? I said absolutely. It just took a little while to get it going, but we're happy to be here, and hopefully we can share some information with you that helps you see why it would be a benefit to you to participate and a benefit to the local community. Jen is actually an active member of the Gulfport chapter now, but she lives and works here in Bay St. Louis, and so if you do form a chapter, it would be helpful to her, and she would bring a lot of experience because she's living and doing the work right now. So I don't know if you had wanted to say anything.
Oh, yeah. I told Leslie works with me, and I was like, they didn't ask me to say anything, but actually, so I started my provisional year, and I did my first year in Pascagoula, which is where I'm from originally, and that is where I absolutely fell in love with JA. It is an amazing organization. I always say, if you have a heart of service, and this is the place for you to be. I absolutely love doing something good for my community, having an impact on kids. I'm sure she's going to get into all of what it does, but being on the front lines, and when you have the power or the ability to have an impact on someone that you know needs help, and there's not like a lot of places that are local that really can have that kind of impact, and so building something and then making friends. I mean, I was in Pascagoula and I grew up there, but I wasn't ever really friends with a lot of people because you just don't interact with each other, and I have made some lifelong friends. It's just having people that care about the same thing you care about and having each other to make that impact is absolutely what I love. And so I didn't even want to quit at all, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, please tell me I can be in Gulfport. So I drive the 35, 40 minutes that way and back just to be able to continue to do this. So
thank you, Jen. I do want to just share just a little bit and tell you before we get into to what being a Junior Auxiliary chapter is. First, let me ask you, how many of you have some knowledge of Junior Auxiliary and what it is? So it's not like it's completely foreign to you. So when I became a member in 2001, as I said, I was an officer on the board of the Gulfport chapter when Katrina hit. And Jean was as well in Slidell. And at the time, and one of the things we'll talk further about is, what you do as a chapter is really locally driven and meeting the needs of your community. But at the time that happened, as you guys either know from personal experience or know from what you've heard people talk about, Katrina was one of those equal opportunity storms that, affected everybody across all social and economic levels. And one of the things that really drives me to want to go help new chapters start is the fact that we realized, I think in a way we didn't know before, that we were part of something much larger than ourselves, because it was the National Association and all the chapters around the South that came to our aid. And they raised money for our community, and they brought toys and clothes and resources and funds to our community so that we could serve our children. And so that just had a huge impact on me personally, and it made me want to give back, not just to the local area, but also to the National Association. So just to tell you a little bit about Junior Auxiliary, even though you're familiar with it, it's really a serious endeavor. Women get together and form an organization, and the whole focus of it is to create services that are geared towards helping children and to make a difference in their lives. The objectives of the National Association is to bring all the chapters together and promote both the National Association as well as the individual chapters, and to encourage the chapters to render charitable aid. And we do that through training and resources and things of that nature. There's a program and kind of a structure that we'll go through a little bit, but aside from that structure, each chapter is able to identify what you're going to do in your local community and how you're going to deliver those services and what the needs are. Because what Slidell may need, or Gulfport may need, or Jonesboro, Arkansas may need, Hancock County might need something a little different. And so I like that aspect because it's not cookie cutter. You can design what you want for your chapter, what is needed, and as the needs of the community change, the things that you do will change as well. And that is appealing to me because it's personal. And when you're making a difference in the life of a child, it's very personal for them, and it becomes very personal for you as well. Our past national executive director, she just retired, she said that junior auxiliaries find the forgotten children and let them know that someone remembers them. And I just really thought that spoke to me because it's really what we do in a varying different ways. So let's talk a little bit about Junior Auxiliary. So we're the National Association of Junior Auxiliaries. Each chapter is named Junior Auxiliary of Slidell, Gulfport, etc. And you're part of the National Association. You'll often see it say NAJA. Sometimes people will say NAJA, they'll say NAJA, they'll say NAJA. It just kind of depends on where you're from and how you pronounce it. But we're a nonprofit organization, and we're a 501c3. So that basically means that it's tax deductible. And one of the things that each chapter must do is have your 501c status from your state in order to be affiliated through the National Association. And we're dedicated to enhancing the lives of children through various hands-on service projects. Our focus isn't writing checks, it's providing service and interacting with the children and the community. And our national slogan is Care Today, Character Tomorrow. And it's really about, the long-term investment in the lives of the children. JA was formed a little over 75 years ago. After the Great Depression, communities across America were feeling the impact of poverty and the suffering, and a lot of communities were hardly able to recover. And with that, the role of women became really, really important in the recovery efforts and meeting the needs of the children, because there was, definitely that privileged versus unprivileged kind of class system. And essentially what happened is that some physicians in Greenville, Mississippi, which is straight up the Mississippi River on the Delta, about an hour south of Memphis. Some physicians in Greenville in 1941 noticed the huge disparity and lives of some of the children and the fact that they were malnourished and didn't have clothes and sometimes didn't have shoes. And they went to these local women and said, can you guys put together some programs that could help make a difference and take care of these kids? And so Louise Estridge Crump was the first president of the National Association. She got together some of the ladies. They were all wives of doctors and lawyers and judges. You know, back in that time, women really didn't work outside of the home as much. And the rumor is they put down their bridge cards and picked up their aprons and got busy trying to figure out how to take care of the children. But from that particular effort, we ended up, we're now in 9 states, there's 96 chapters, and they started out with 10 original chapters in forming the National Association of Junior Auxiliaries. So back then, everything was by mail and typewriters. It was completely different. And so now that we're able to email and FaceTime and social media, we're finding that we're able to reach just a broader audience. So we created this logo. You may have seen that the crown's something very common we see down here in the Mardi Gras area, Mardi Gras area, you see crowns a lot, but the 5-pointed crown was created because it represents the virtues that the NAJA members uphold. It represents charity. The first one, which is the main purpose of our organization, is to provide charitable service. The next one is youth. We're providing that service to the youth, the children, and up through, when they graduate